this is the sequel they made to the
Cain
first
is
Blood
deified. The clans tell tales of him. Few know the truth. He was mortal once, as were we all. However, his contempt for humanity drove him to create me and my brethren. I am Raziel, firstborn of his lieutenants. I stood with Cain and my brethren at the dawn of the Empire. I have served him a millennium. Over time, we became less human and more divine. Cain would enter the state of change and emerge with a new gift. Some years after the Master, our evolution would follow, until I had the honor of surpassing my lord. For my transgression, I earned a new kind of reward. Agony. There was only one possible outcome. My eternal damnation. I, Raziel, was to suffer the fate of traitors and weaklings, to burn forever in the bowels of the lake of the dead.
Cast him in.
Tumbling, burning with white-hot fire, I plunged into the depths of the abyss. Unspeakable pain, relentless agony. Time ceased to exist. Only this torture and a deepening hatred of the hypocrisy that damned me to this hell. An eternity passed, and my torment receded, bringing me back from the precipice of madness. The descent had destroyed me, and yet I lived.
Raziel, you are worthy. I know you, Raziel. You are worthy.
The graphics of the game weren't as good as the cutscene.
What pitiful form is this that I have come to inhabit? Death would be a release next to this travesty.
You did not survive the abyss, Raziel. I have only spared you from total dissolution.
I think most people
I
didn't
would
really
choose
know how to
oblivion over
react
this
to the
existence.
intro.
The choice is not yours.
I am destroyed.
You are reborn. The birth of one
Yeah,
of
well, you
Cain's
can tell it's not for
abominations
most
traps
people.
the essence of life. It is this soul that animates the corpse you lived in. And that, Raziel, is the demise of Nosgoth. There is no balance. The souls of the dead remain trapped. I cannot spin them in the wheel of fate. They cannot complete their destinies. Redeem yourself. Or if you prefer, avenge yourself. Settle your dispute with Cain. Destroy him and your brethren. Free their souls and let the wheel of fate churn again. Use your hatred to reave their souls. I can make it possible. Become my soul Reaver, my angel of death. Matter and will yourself to become manifest in the physical world.
And you probably didn't play the first game or even hear about it.
Your strength must first be fully restored. You require no conduit to return to this plane. You may abandon your physical body at any time. Sustain your strength to prolong your manifestation in the physical world. If you fail to feed or absorb too many wounds, this fragile matter will dissolve.
But the Dreamcast didn't have that many video
games. Much has changed since you passed from the world of men.
I knew my opponent's weaknesses.
Soul Reaver was available.
Physical wounds are fleeting. Vampire's immortal flesh begins to close as soon as it is
also
cleaned.
on PlayStation 1.
Vampires need only fear those wounds that impale or inflame. Water scorches like acid, and fledglings are devastated by sunlight's touch. I would have to modify my tactics to suit my foes.
Unfettered from the flesh, a creature's soul fades swiftly into the spectral realm. Draw it in quickly, Raziel, or you will be compelled to follow.
And Sonic the Hedgehog almost even dresses like Raziel in the Sonic Boom TV show. Yeah, that's just random.
These objects are mere shadows in the spectral realm, frozen and immovable.
The sanctuary of the clans reduced to ruin.
Yeah, the game
Beyond
looks
these
kind
walls
of
lay the
creepy.
pillars of Nosgoth, the seat of Kain's empire. How humble it now appeared, collapsing into the dust of its former magnificence. And yet, I had only just emerged. In the instant between my execution and resurrection, centuries had apparently passed.
This world is wrecked with cataclysms. The earth strains to shrug off the pestilence of Kain's parasitic empire. The fate of this world was preordained in an instant by a solitary man. Unwilling to martyr himself to restore Nosgoth's balance, Kain condemned the world to the decay you see.
And that voice talking to him is supposed to be God.
Now it is nearly played out. Nosgoth teeters on the brink of collapse. Its fragile balance cannot hold.
Some kind of godlike thing. Sorts of Lovecraftian horror.
This, at least, had remained constant. The endlessly swirling vortex of the abyss. My tomb and the womb of my rebirth. Desolation. My once proud kin wiped from this world like excrement from a boot. I knew the hand that wrought this deed.
Yeah, it's one of those games that people describe as being like Legend of Zelda. Because there's like temples and bosses. Legend of Zelda, you fight some skeleton things too. Some of the temples are kind of creepy. Might be like a giant spider or something. Yeah, the Shadow Temple was actually kind of over the line.
No! Please!
And compared to Legend of
I
Zelda,
didn't
there's
recognize
voice
these
acting
flayed
in this
racks of
game
flesh. Their
And
scent
voice acting is kind of early on
their
in
victims'
video
carcass like
games.
dogs.
But I mean, yeah, I know video games are starting to have voice acting now.
This charnel house bore the unmistakable marks of Melchiah's clan. To what depths had our dynasty plummeted if these ghouls were the descendants of my high-born brother? Were they so debased as to recruit fledglings from the desiccated corpses here in
Like, what's that supposed to mean?
My brother Melchiah was made last, and therefore received the poorest portion of Cain's gift. Although immortal, his soul could not sustain the flesh, which retained much of its previous human frailty. This weakness, it seemed, was passed on to his offspring. Their fragile skins barely contained the underlying decay.
And he can shift between the material realm and the spectral
Beware,
realm.
Raziel. These wraiths are vampire spirits, fettered too long in the spectral realm. When their vampire natures adapt to this plane, they become eaters of souls. Do not allow these spirits to re-inhabit their corpses.
And then Raziel is also kind of semi-invincible since he can keep on, bringing himself back from the ghost dimension. And as you can see, there are temples and puzzles, which later on we don't really like temples and puzzles. Or dungeons. And they were sort of experimenting with playing as ghouls and stuff. And a lot of PlayStation 2 games are also really violent.
Show yourself, creature!
Do you not recognize me, brother? Am I so changed?
Melchiah?
Yes, brother. You should have stayed where the Master sent you, Raziel. You will find Nosgoth less pleasant than you remember.
What has become of my clan? Answer me, little brother, or I will beat an answer from your horrid lips.
Everyone is afraid, sibling. You awake to a world of fear. These times of change are so unsettling. Do you think I feel no revulsion for this form? Do you believe for a moment that our Lord would risk his empire upon an upstart inheritance?
Enough riddles. What are you saying?
You are the last to die.
Yeah, and this was sort of one of my first video games since the Dreamcast. It was kind of the first console I had other than the Super Nintendo. Actually, it's not that great.
Tell me, Melchiah,
Other
where can I
games
find
for the
Cain?
Dreamcast were like Crazy Taxi
Beyond your reach, Raziel.
and Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. And those are probably the best games for the Dreamcast, which don't even hold up well at all. But Sonic Adventure did teach me how to read.
done well, Raziel.
Am I reduced to this? A ghoul? A fratricide?
Elevated, Raziel, not reduced. Consuming Melchiah's soul has endowed you with a new gift. Insubstantial barriers such as these are no impediment to you in the spectral realm. Will yourself to pass through, and you shall.
Yeah, and the voice actor for the God character was also a voice actor in All Dogs Go to Heaven 2, which as a child, when I saw that movie, that's when I decided to believe in Jesus and stuff.
Raziel.
Cain!
The Abyss has been unkind.
And you'll see how this game
I am
will
your creation, Cain.
sort of bring
Now,
up a lot of theological
You criticize
problems and
work.
controversies.
What have you done with my plan, degenerate? You have no right.
What I have made, I can also destroy, child.
Damn you, Cain! You are not God! This act of genocide is unconscionable!
Conscience? You dare to speak to me of conscience? Only when you have felt the full gravity of choice should you dare question my judgment. Your lifespan is a flicker compared to the mass of doubt and regret that I have borne since Mortanius first turned me from the light. To know that the fate of the world hangs dependent on the advisedness of my every deed. Can you even begin to conceive what action you would take in my position?
I would choose integrity, Cain.
Look around you, Raziel. See what has become of our empire.
These look
Witness
like
the end of an
Lovecraft
age.
symbols or something.
The clans scattered to the corners of Nosgoth. This place has outlasted its usefulness. As have you.
The Soul Reaver, Cain's ancient blade, older than any of us and 1,000 times more deadly. The legends claimed that the blade was possessed and thrived by devouring the souls of its victims. For all our bravado, we knew what it meant when Cain drew the Soul Reaver in anger. It meant you were dead.
Yeah, and that's Cain from the other game.
My wayward son returns. The blade is vanquished. So it unfolds, and we are a step closer to our destinies.
I swore I saw a glint of satisfaction in Cain's eye when the Soul Reaver was destroyed. I did not understand the game that Cain was playing, but I knew the finishing move.
From this moment and ever afterward, you and this blade are inextricably bound. Soul Reaver and Reaver of Souls, your destinies are intertwined. By destroying the sword, you have liberated it from its corporeal prison and restored it to its true form, a wraith blade, its energy unbound. no longer a physical blade. It can only manifest itself in the material realm when your strength is fully restored. Once manifest, it will sustain you.
Now a lightsaber can come out of his hand, or maybe it's more like a fire sword.
What are you, little soul? Another of Cain's creatures come to taunt this bound spectre.
I did not intend to disturb your rest.
Rest. A body is needed for sleep. Flesh and bones are required to recline. No, child. All I may do is watch and remember, ceaselessly conscious as this wretched world's history unfurls. Ghastly past, insufferable future, are they one and the same? Am I always here?
How have you come to haunt these pillars?
Cain refused the sacrifice. The pillar of balance, corrupted to its core, stands as a monument to his blind ambition. Now these pillars serve only to bind me here, my prison and eternal home, thanks to the avarice of your master, Cain.
That bastard can claim no allegiance from me.
Then we share a common foe, Raziel. Return here when you have need. Ariel remembers what others have forgotten.
And here are the pillars.
Far in the eastern mountains, a stifled titan stands in mute surrender, unwilling host to a parasitic swarm.
And those pillars might symbolize a bunch of different things, whatever you think they mean, you know. Like, it's kind of like the Tower of Babel, and now there was the last stone of the Tower of Babel. And it's also kind of like the 4 pillars of Islam. Praying, alms, faith, and they sometimes also look like an organ, like a church piano organ thing. And they also kind of look like Stonehenge.
Once a testament to mankind's defiance of Cain's empire, this towering cathedral now stood derelict. The humans who worshipped here, dead for centuries. Its architects conceived this tower as a holy weapon against the vampire menace, a colossal instrument of brass and stone. The cathedral's pipes, once tuned to blast a deadly hymn, now stood silent, and these vacant spaces whistled their impotence.
And you can see how the game's kind of trying to set you off. And now the spectral realm, things will move around like that. That's sort of an element of puzzle solving. And this looks kind of Egyptian. A bunch of religious themes, hieroglyphs.
Zephon, your visage becomes you. It's an appropriate reflection of your soul.
And you are not his handsome Raziel anymore. His precious firstborn son turned betrayer. You have missed so many changes, little Raziel. Look around you. See how the human's weapon of destruction has become my home. Indeed, my body. A cocoon of brick and granite from which to watch a pupating world.
A crevice in which to cower, only scuttling from the shadows to devour a victim already ensnared in your cowardly trap. But you've made the mistake of leaving me unbound, and it is you who must succumb to my
will. Instinct, reflex action. The insect mind finds little difference. I warn you, brother. As my stature has grown, so it is matched by my appetite. Step forward, morsel.
Yeah, you can see how this boss is just, disgusting looking.
Come to test me again, brother? I grow weary of your meddling.
Yeah, it seemed like they really wanted to go as far as they can with video games right away, in certain ways.
Consuming Zephon's apostate soul has bestowed on you a new gift. Like his vampire spawn, you're able to scale certain walls which are otherwise impassable. Endowed with Zephon's soul, you may now progress where your path was hitherto impeded.
And look, there's a giant skull. And when you see that, you probably think that there might be giants. But if you saw the first game, that was actually just, it was like Mount Rushmore. There's just a big skull carved into a cliffside that was part of a castle of Nutgrafter, the Mentalist. It was part of the Circle of Nine.
Like a corpse in a shallow grave, corruption rises to the surface. Beyond these pillars, the defiled victim mutely screams its outrage.
Yeah, and they just keep on constantly making over-violent metaphors.
The ancient tomb of the Seraphim, once impenetrably sealed, now ravaged by Nosgoth's upheavals, its mysteries lay exposed. In the time of Vorador, centuries before Cain was made, the Seraphim warrior priests waged a merciless war against the vampire tribes of Nosgoth. Emboldened by righteousness, they committed unspeakable and indiscriminate acts of violence, massacring fledglings and ancients alike. They decimated entire bloodlines in mere decades. Now their husks lay here, murderers enshrined.
This is just like Ezekiel's tomb.
These crypts, defiled caskets of Seraphim saints, bearing my brothers' names and my own. The irony of Cain's blasphemous act rushed in on me with the crushing force of revelation. Were my hands not as bloody as these? Worse, I had spilled the blood of my brothers, these very comrades whose tombs lay ravaged before me.
Yes, Raziel, you were a Seraphan, born of the same force that all but destroyed your race. Before the dawn of the Empire, you were chosen. Cain, Nosgoth's solitary self-declared monarch, plundered this tomb and raised you from these crypts. Breathing his vampiric gift into your defiled corpses, he resurrected you as his favored sons.
Yeah, so it sort of raises a bunch of questions.
Heretic, you shall not pass.
Such loyalty to one who has you guarding this outpost like a chained dog. Do you prosper on the scraps he casts you?
Your insults will do nothing to blunt the agony of your demise.
Cain killed me once. Behold the result. I have no more to fear from you.
As your symbiotic weapon, the Soul Reaver is also thus enhanced. You may purposely project an orb of kinetic energy to strike objects that are otherwise beyond your reach.
And this is where he gets his telekinesis. That kind of looks like the Liberty Bell.
North of the Seraphan tomb, your brother Rahab has secluded himself and his progeny in the ruins of a half-drowned abbey. The rays of Nosgoth's sun overcame their vulnerability to water and retreated from the surface. Now they haunt these ruins and glide in the darkness of its stagnant depths.
And this game is only like 6 hours long, but a lot of the stuff about it sort of just has it having a sense of dread. It makes it feel longer. There's also a puzzle game, so you probably needed a strategy guide, or else you were just lost in it, or you can check the internet.
Rahab, you have adapted well to your environment, for one so maladjusted.
Do not mock me, Raphael. You of all of us should respect the power bestowed by a limitation overcome. Cain said you would come.
You
I felt
speak
like
with
it
the
was a
murderer?
fairly
You would do
difficult
well to
game to
mind your
beat. He
blasphemous
probably
tongue.
used any
What
codes
more did he tell you?
that they
That you
had to.
would destroy me.
I will indeed. But tell me, before I tear your soul from its moorings, do you know what we were before Cain spawned us?
Human.
Seraphan, Rahab, the antithesis of all we ever believed.
Does it matter? We were lost. He saved us.
Saved us? From what?
From ourselves.
And as a child, he's probably going to play with these things in his imagination.
Rahab's soul, you have overcome your former vulnerability to water's touch. Immersion in water will no longer dissolve your physical body, enabling you to swim to areas heretofore beyond your reach.
And now he's immune to water. And when you're in the spirit world, water's as thin as air.
To the clan territory of your brother Duma. Endowed with Rahab's soul, you may swim to gain entry where your progress was previously impeded. His clan into Nosgoth's northern wilderness. Empowered by the gift of Rahab's soul, seek out his mountain stronghold. But tread carefully. These frozen wastes have mysteries yet to disclose. This elemental forge is tuned to the Soul Reaver's energy. Once baptized in this primordial flame, the blade may be imbued with fire at any future time.
But yeah, these games aren't really available anymore. They still have... I mean, I got most of them on Steam, but they all didn't work. And, except for Legacy of Kain Defiance, but it's the computer version, so it's just a little bit different. And if you don't attack the humans at the Seraphan Stronghold, or whatever this place is, they'll actually fall down on their
towering
knees
walls and deep
worship
moats
you.
engineered to keep Nosgoth's vampire plague at bay. Though the city was well fortified against vampires, its human architects hadn't considered a breach by a creature such as myself.
Looks like this guy's just acting like a maniac. Looks like they've been worshipping some kind of strange god. Yeah, there are a lot of strange statues in the series. Like, look at this one. Isn't that just sort of freaky? Here's a lighthouse.
Beyond the cliffs that witnessed your execution, a silent city sits in frozen tableau. Locked in eternal limbo, they await redemption or release.
You know, the way people are, sometimes they consider this game the best in the series or the most well-rounded Legacy of Kain
This
game.
city once teemed with the life of my kind. Could it be that other clans had suffered the same fate as mine? In his madness, could Kain spare none of his brood?
It was not Kain, but Duma's own arrogance that brought the downfall of his clans. These are human weapons, Raziel. Believing themselves invincible, Duma and his offspring failed to see an attack coming from the least likely assailants. Complacent in their arrogance, they were taken by surprise, allowing the human vampire hunters to decimate their ranks with little resistance. The few that escaped have been reduced to scavengers.
Yeah, all the games are kind of strange.
My brother, Duma, a powerful warrior in life. He would have burned with shame to have me find him here like a stuck pig.
And Duma was the strongest one. At least he thought so.
Come to save my soul, prodigal brother.
Not to save it, but to take it. Your only salvation is release.
He's pulling all these spears out of Duma. Once the spears are removed, he's gonna regenerate and come back to life, so he can fight him.
Unbound at last. I thank you, brother.
Your thanks are premature, Duma. I have not forgotten whose hands bore me into the abyss.
The centuries in limbo have honed my strength. Not even Kain is my equal.
Well, this is very visceral.
Even the strongest vampire is vulnerable.
We shall test your thesis, Raziel.
My bloodthirst has been superseded by an even darker hunger. I will consume your soul before this day is done.
You are persistent, Raziel.
Yeah, and all the boss fights, he always uses the environment to kill them. It's always some ridiculous, over-the-top thing. Just like Terminator.
In the furthermost canyon of Nosgoth's frozen wastes, the hushed silences embrace an ancient enigma. In the bowels of this labyrinth, your master awaits.
And you got new powers
The Oracle's Cave,
from all
where
the
Kain's first fateful
vampires
meeting with Mobius
defeated.
occurred. Mobius played the
And
role
the
of a
power you
doddering
got from that
soothsayer,
one was that you
stirring
can
his
run
pot of visions
circles
while
around
dispensing
things to
enigmatic
stun them, which
predictions
is
to
just
gullible
weird.
visitors.
It's called
Underneath the
constricting.
facade was Mobius the Time Streamer, sorcerer of the Circle of Nine, a ruthless manipulator with the power to bend time. Since his murder at Cain's hands centuries ago, these caves have stood vacant, though, like Mobius himself, they are rumored to be only a facade for a much larger, more elaborate complex. I sensed that Cain was here, and at that moment, I would have plumbed the depths of hell to find him.
And now he's in the Oracle's cave.
This, I deduced, must be the man himself, the time streamer, Mobius. He seemed not at all the impressive figure I had imagined from Cain's boasted exploits. And yet, even this cold image radiated a certain undeniable power.
And there's some kind of big clock and a sundial. Some sort of star pool. Vortex. It looks like this was part of his destiny.
My arrival in this miserable age. What trickery is this?
It is no illusion, Raziel, but a glimpse into the currents of time itself.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting.
These apparitions torment me. Has this all been foretold?
Looks like they always knew it was going to happen.
My mind reels with conflict. Does Cain await me moments from now? Or in some century yet to come? This cannot be. What madness does this scene portend?
Yeah, and Ariel was kind of your friend in this game. If you got lost, you could talk to her ghost, and she would give you hints, and she did the same thing for Cain and Blood Omen. And Ariel is like an angel in the Garden of Eden in Paradise Lost or something. You can search that Ariel.
Is this phantasm a conjuration of my mind, or an echo of future events?
I must say I'm disappointed.
And this is one of the big scenes.
I imagined you'd be here sooner. Tell me,
redo this scene in the next game as a CGI scene.
Did it trouble you when you ordered me into the abyss?
And then in the last game, they just did a montage of
in your ability to hate
this scene and the scene at the
indignation.
beginning of the
Lies.
game. That was the
I
intro.
have foreseen all of this.
It
eternity
seemed kind
is
of lazy.
relentless,
They just did a
Raziel.
montage of those two scenes.
When I first stole into this chamber centuries ago, I
It
did
was
not
pretty
fathom the
tight.
true power of knowledge. To know the future, Raziel. To see its paths and streams tracing out into the infinite. As a man, I could never have contained such forbidden truths. But each of us is so much more than we once were. Gazing out across the plains of possibility, do you not feel with all your soul how we have become like gods? And as such, Are we not indivisible? As long as a single one of us stands, we are Legion.
Indivisible?
That is why, when I must sacrifice my children to the void, I can do so with a clear heart.
Very poetic, Cain. But in the end, you offer no more than a convenient rationalization for your crimes.
These chambers offer insight for those patient enough to look. In your haste to find me, perhaps you have not gazed deeply enough. Our futures are predestined. Mobius foretold mine a millennium ago. We each play out the parts fate has written for us. We are compelled ineluctably down preordained paths. Free will is an illusion.
I have been to the tomb of Seraphan, Cain. Your dirty secret is exposed. How could you transform a Seraphan priest into a vampire?
How could I not? One must keep his friends close, Raziel, and his enemies even closer. Can you grasp the absurd beauty of the paradox? We're the same. Seraphan and vampire. With our holy wars, our obsession with Nosgoth's domination, who better to serve me than those whose passion transcends all notions of good and evil?
I will not applaud your clever blasphemy. The Seraphan were saviors, defending Nosgoth from the corruption that we represent. My eyes are opened, Cain. I find no nobility in the unlife you rudely forced on my unwilling corpse.
You may have uncovered your past, but you know nothing of it. You think the Seraphan were noble, altruistic? Don't be simple. Their agenda was the same as ours.
You are lost in a maze of moral relativism, Cain. These apparitions and portents. What game are you playing now?
Destiny is a game, is it not? And now, you await my latest move.
Yeah, a lot of stuff about determinism and monotheism, free will, time travel, morality.
Have you returned to embrace your destiny, Raziel?
There's also a lot of violence, a lot of disturbing violence and harsh language.
You nearly had me, Raziel. But this is not where or how it ends. Fate promises more twists before this drama unfolds completely.
Be warned, Raziel. Once you cross this threshold, you are beyond my influence.
No way.
Raziel, Redeemer and Destroyer, Pawn and Messiah. Welcome, time-span soul. Welcome to your destiny. Where time
is but a loop, a loose stitch in the universal cloth. A streamer might seize upon a chance,
And that's
a
what we
fatal
are,
slip,
is
and plunge the
streamers.
fate of planets into chaos.
Alright, and that was Soul Reaver 1. There's a picture of the Tower of Babel.